Hey guys, so we got a lot of projects to do on the Volvo truck. Well, not a lot of projects. I mean, really, a lot of them are kind of meaningless, just stuff personally that I want to do. But there are a few major things that we need to address that we briefly talked about already. And one of those is the air conditioning. Of course, the electrical draw, I think I've kind of determined what that may be. We're just going to have to do some testing on that. Um, I want to go ahead and pull all the batteries out of the truck. There's bus bars that go between. It's got 4 batteries. I'll show you all that later. There's bus bars that go between all the batteries, and they kind of dirty, and we need to clean all those up. And then the cabling on the batteries also, the way it connects to the batteries, we need to change that configuration. We're going to talk more about that as we get to that project. But I wanted to get started right off the get-go on addressing the air conditioning, because here in South Texas, I mean, it's hot. Even though we're in February, which I say that jokingly because today is 60 degrees and beautiful, and tomorrow is supposed to be horribly rainy, and by tomorrow night, I believe, or maybe the next night, we're supposed to be back down in the 20s again. So flip a coin, wait for the next day. The weather will change here in South Texas. But anyways, the air conditioning. We need to start going ahead and checking the air conditioning out and see if we can figure out what the problem is. So we're just going to do a simple hook up some gauges to it and see what's in the system today. So anyways, we'll get started. Get the hood popped here. Like I say, this truck does have one heck of a moose bumper. It's a moose bumper. Legitimately, it's a moose bumper. The truck was registered and titled in Alaska. It does have Alaska plates on it right now, and I will get those back to you, Brian. I'm going to send Brian back the plates because I figured he might want them for a keepsake or something. I mean, they are Alaska. But anyways, one heck of a bumper, guys, on this truck. The bumper weighs way more than the hood does, by the way. It's pretty simple. Anyway, let's get flipped around here. I'm going to grab the AC gauges right quick. We'll get them hooked up, and we'll see what's in the system. All right, so let's see what we got here. I mean, it's just an air conditioning system. They're all pretty much the same way. You know, we got mounted up here in front of the radiator, obviously. We got our high pressure port, low pressure port. High pressure is generally always going to be your small line. Low pressure will be the larger line. And, okay, back here, right down here is the dryer. It's just a typical dryer like in every single air conditioning. The only difference so far that I see is the way the AC compressor works. It's still a standard AC compressor, right? It's got a clutch, engages, disengages, but the difference being is on this one, the outside here is not the part that's necessarily rotating when it's engaged. If you know what I mean, like on a traditional car-like air compressor, AC compressor, I'm sorry, when you engage the clutch, it sucks it into the pulley, right? And then the shaft goes through and it starts turning the compressor. This one is different. The clutch engagement is actually on the inside of the pulley. So all of this out here is solid to the pulley, and when it engages the clutch, it grabs it from the inside the pulley here. And so it's more of like a direct drive in there. I don't know all the technical terms about it, guys. I'm not a professional, as a lot of people like to say. But I know how they work. So that's that. Anyways, let's get the gauges hooked up to it. We'll see what kind of pressure we have in it. And we will go from there, essentially. Last side line up there. Our high side line down here, which really we only need to connect one. I mean, that's all we need to hook up, and we'll know what's going on with the system. Anyways, open. All right, well, there's all we need to know. There is absolutely zero pressure on the system. But let's see if I can reach. Man, it's a long ways up here. Big truck, right? Let's see if we can get this one plugged in anyways. Go ahead and open it. There we go. All right, so we essentially have zero pressure, basically. Well, maybe 3 pounds or so. Anyways, it is obviously extremely low on Freon. Now, that will translate into obviously a leak. However, it does still have pressure on it, and this truck was in the north and it has sat for a considerable amount of time. So what we're going to do, I think, is we are going to hook the vacuum pump up to it. We'll go ahead and extract what little tiny bit of refrigerant's in it with the recovery machine. I think we're going to go ahead and hook the vacuum pump up to it. We'll just pull a vacuum on it initially, and we'll see if it holds a vacuum or if it wants to bleed off quickly, which is not going to be good. But if it's such an insignificant leak, really may not worry about it, right? It's not really worth delving into this whole entire system to try to find that, when maybe all we got to do is keep a can or so topped off, once or twice a year when we actually use it. So initially, yeah, let's grab the vacuum pump and we'll get that hooked up and see what happens. Yeah, anyway, like I thought, there wasn't really much in there to recover necessarily. But, never hurts to make sure. Anyway, never hurts to make sure that there's nothing there just going to let out in the air. So anyway, let me grab a vacuum pump again, like I say, right quick, and we'll get it hooked up and we'll pull her down. All right, so we're back. Grab our line here, get it hooked up. Got a good connection there. We don't want to kill it, but we want to make sure it's snug with the O-ring in there. All right. So anyway, let's pull it down right quick and see what happens. All right, well, let's give that just a few minutes to run. We'll get it all the way down. We're not going to do like a deep vacuum on it just yet because, again, we're just trying to look for leaks initially, guys. So anyway, we're going to let that run for a few minutes. We'll be right back. Well, while we're letting that sit for a few minutes, we're going to do another little maintenance thing right quick while we're just waiting. Fun fact, you'll notice I'm wearing gloves because I have anti-seize out. I'm actually allergic to anti-seize. So there you go. Fun fact. Anyways, this bumper is held on, well, it has this big pin right here that slips down through this bracket. But once you get it up there and slide the pin through it, it has these lockdown bolts that come in from the bottom. Anyway, we're going to lube up those threads pretty good because, like I say, they're getting all rusty and we don't want to end up getting them stuck in there and galled up or whatever. So had to break out the glove. I found that out the hard way, guys. I've never been allergic to anything ever in my life, really. And I do work in the oil field, and I have used anti-seize forever. But anyways, here recently, I got into a bout of it on my hands, and something happened. Anyways, I ended up, my throat ended up swelling up. And it wasn't nothing where I was like choking to death or anything like that. But anyways, after some experimenting, I figured out it was anti-seize. I still use the stuff. Anyways, got those done. So we're going to let this sit here now for a few minutes with a vacuum on it. And we'll see if it holds like that. We'll give it about 5-10 minutes and see what happens. Well, I got distracted on something else, so it's actually about an hour later, and boom, look at that, still holding a vacuum. So I got the Freon out here. Let's get this thing fired up and see if we can't get some AC blowing cold. I mean, I haven't, there's no leaks, so unless something is just wrong with the system, let's find out. Forgot to add one thing. The cool thing about this system is it actually gives you the capacities for everything. Now, our truck is a 730, so the 670 through 880s, 4 pounds. Alright, there we go. So we'll just take it down to 10.9 and have 4 pounds in it. Yeah, she's a blowing cold now. So one thing, again, that Brian told us about, when you first crank the truck, the check light's going to come on and it's going to say headlight low beam right open circuit. And that is because it has LED headlights in it and they are very low resistance. So all you have to do is turn the lights off, turn the lights back on, boom, code's clear and go away. It's just because of low resistance LED headlights. But anyways, it is blowing cold in here now. I did mess around with some wiring and stuff back here, and voila, we have, let me turn it back up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. We now have rear AC blowing out nice and cold back here. I think there's supposed to be some ducking covers or something over that. I don't know, but anyway, these are so open that all the air gushes out of there, but there is a duct that goes over to a vent right here, and it's blowing out of it pretty good. But I think if we cover up just one of these, that'll help with in-cab circulation. But anyway, I did get the rear blower working for the air conditioning, and the controls over here. So if I switch it over to heat, it does get hot. So I got that working already. But anyways, cold AC. Just like that. It was just low on Freon. Haha. On to the next project. Sorry, these things are noisy, guys. Sorry. I did forget to add one thing. You'll notice that the air conditioning compressor is cycling a lot. Okay, I'm fixing to show you. I'm sure there is, god dang, it's cold in here now. Let's turn that down a little bit. I'll turn the rear one off. Okay, with these trucks getting smarter and smarter, I'm sure there is a service procedure for it. I'm just gonna have to read about it, whether you have like the PTT software for Volvo, or like even Zurich makes an aftermarket scanner now for these trucks. When you're trying to charge the air conditioner, you'll notice that you can't idle the engine up no matter how much you press on the gas pedal. So the only thing you have when we're charging it right now is the high idle feature over here. So, anyways, So I may have to top the AC off a little bit more because you know we can only get it to 800 RPM. So again, I'm sure there's a service procedure for charging these through PTT or something where you can actually idle the truck up to around 900 1,000 RPM, so that you can like copy basically like cruising down the highway. Because it's idling so low right now, so the air conditioning compressor wants to just cycle on and off. It won't hold it down on the low side, so we can finish charging it. But we do have 4 pounds in it, so it may work just fine once we get going down the highway and get the RPM set, and it may not cycle quite as much. But I mean, it's cold. It is cold. So that's nice. Anyway, I forgot to add that in there, but anyway, that's the only thing we've ran into so far on working on the air conditioning on this. It is a little different than what I'm normally used to, because like even in the motorhome, when I fixed the AC in there, it has a high idle feature. You just engage the cruise control while you're parked and it will idle the engine up, and then you can bump the RPM up to where you want it so that it will fast idle. And we had to do that when we were charging that system too, because the idle was so low I couldn't get it to stop cycling. But anyway, enough of that. The air conditioning in the truck is fine. There are no leaks in it. All we have to do is charge it back up. And again, even by the end of summer or whatever, if I have to add like a single can or so of Freon, it's not worth the hassle of going through all these systems to find a leak, because it's not that bad. I mean, it held a vacuum for over an hour. So, it's got to be pretty good. Anyway, that's that. I just wanted to add that in there before we get out here, and we end this with the first project on the Volvo VNL 730. Check. Aha.